Hey everyone, this is Hafizullah Masoudi and you're watching From Code with Hafiz. I welcome you to the sixth video of this series in which we will discuss HTML lists, HTML block and inline, HTML classes and HTML IDs. So first, what are HTML lists? Well, lists allow web developers to group a set of related items in lists. We have two types of lists in HTML and they are unordered lists and ordered lists. So first of all, unordered lists, which start with UL tag, and inside it each list item starts with li tag, and the list items will be marked with bullets or small black circles by default. So to show you this one, let's get back to our text editor and let's remove this table or these both tables from here. And what I will do is, to create a unordered list, we can open the UL tag and close the UL tag, and inside here what we have is the li tag. So let's create one. So li, and let's say this one is coffee for example, and what we can do is copy this one and paste it here. Now this one is, let's say, tea, and let's paste it again, and let's say this one is milk. And if we save this now and get back to the browser, refresh, you can see we have our unordered list. Now next up we have ordered lists, which start with OL tag, and inside the OL tag we have list items which also start with li tags. So the ordered list items will be marked with numbers by default. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor and let's press enter here and let's put a BR, and in here let's open OL tag and let's close it. And what we can do is copy these li's from here and paste it for this one too. Now let's save this, get back to the browser, and if you refresh, now you can see we have our nice ordered list. Well, we have another kind of HTML list also, which is the description lists, and it's not used that much. So a description list is a list of terms with a description of each term. So for this kind of list we have the DL tag to define a description list, and then we have the DT tag to declare a term, and then we have the DD tag to declare the description of that term. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and what I will do is press enter here, and let's say we want, or let's press some enters so we can see the code better. Now for this one, what we can do is let's put a BR first, and then let's say we wanna open a description list. So DL tag, let's close it, and inside the DL tag what we have is the DT tag. So let's say DT and let's close it. So DT, and let's say coffee, and then we have a DD tag. So let's say DD. Well, each DT has a DD, so keep that in mind. Now let's put a dash here and let's say black hot drink, and let's create another one. So let's say DT, or what we can do is copy this one. So let's copy it and paste it here, and for this one let's say milk, and let's say in here white cold drink for example. So let's save this, get back to the browser, refresh. Now you can see we have our nice description list. Now for the unordered lists, if you want to change the list styling, you can do that using CSS. So we can declare 4 types of styles: disk style, circle, square, and none. So to show you the examples, let's get back to the text editor, and what we can do is we can declare a style attribute for the list. So in here let's say style, and in here let's say list hyphen style hyphen type, and let's say this should be disk, and if we save it, well, it's the default one, you won't see any changes. But if we change the disk to circle, now we will see a circle list type, as you can see. And if we change it, for example, to square, and if we now refresh, you can see now we have a square list style type. And if we change it to none, so we won't have any style for the list. Now for unordered lists, we can note that a list item can contain a new list also, and other HTML elements like images and links, etc. also. So we can have nested lists too. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and what I will do is remove the styling from this UL, and for the T, let's press enter here, and in here let's create another UL. So let's say UL, and let's close it, and inside here let's say we want some li, so let's close it also, and let's say black tea, so black tea, and let's copy this one and paste it, and let's say green tea. And if we save this, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see we have our nested lists. So for ordered lists, we can declare a type of attribute to define the type of the list item marker. So the types that we can have are, for example, type 1 that you can see right now, which is starts from 1 to n number, and next type that we have is A or capital A. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and for the OL, what we can do is we can declare a type attribute which should equal to, for example, capital A, and if we save it, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see the list marker is now English alphabet. And if we declare a small a, so let's make it small, and if we refresh it, now we have small alphabets. Now we have other types also. For example, if we declare I here and get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we have this type of list or ordered list. And if we declare small I, it will become small. So if I refresh, now you can see their count is small. Now we can declare a starting point for the ordered list counting also by using the start attribute that we have in ordered lists. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and in here we can say start, which should equal to, for example, let's say 50. And if we refresh now, it will start from 50. And to see this one obviously or more clear, let's change this one to 1, and if we save it, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see it is starting the count from 50 to 52. Now an ordered list also can contain a new list or any other HTML element like images, links, etc. So to show you this one, let's get back to text editor, and what we can do is copy this extra UL from here and we can paste it for this one. So let's paste it here, and let's change this one to OL. And if I save it now, get back to the browser and refresh, now you can see we have our nice nested ordered list. Now this was everything about lists. Next up we have HTML block and inline elements. So every HTML element has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. There are two display values, for example block and inline. So first of all, block level elements, which always start on a new line, and the browsers automatically add some space or margin before and after the element. So this means that a block element or a block level element will take up the full width available within its container. So to give an example, the two commonly used block elements are paragraph and the div tag. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and what I will do is scroll to the top. So in here let's create a paragraph, and let's close it, and let's say hello world, and let's create a div. So let's say div tag, and let's close it, and in here let's also say hello world. And if I save it, get back to the browser, refresh, you can see both are in new line, which means they are block level elements. Now the paragraph is in tomato color because we have our styling at the top. We have this file linked here, which is importing the paragraph styling. So what we can do is remove this, and if we check it now we have the black color. So the P element you already know about, defines a paragraph, and the div element defines a division or a section in an HTML document. So the div element has no required attributes, but you can give it a style attribute, class attribute, and ID attribute in case you need. So the div element can be used together with CSS to style blocks of content. Now keep that in mind. So to show you more examples of block elements, let's go to a screenshot. So in here you can see we have all of these tags or elements, and each of them is a block element. So we have the address, article, aside, block code, canvas, dd, div, dl, dt, field set, and many more. So in case you are seeing some of the elements new here, don't worry about them, because while we continue our course you will get familiar with most of them. So don't worry about the ones you don't know about, because we will cover almost all of them in our next videos. So let's close this screenshot, and now next up we have inline HTML elements, which does not start on a new line, and it only takes up as much width as necessary. For example, the span tag inside a paragraph. And to declare the span tag, it is an inline container used to mark up a part of a text or a part of a document. And the span tag has no required attributes also, but style, class, and ID attributes are common to use. So we can use a span tag together with CSS to style parts of the text. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor. Let's declare some span tags. So what I will do is, after the div element, I will create a span tag. So let's close it, and let's declare another one also to see that this one is inline. So in here let's say text number 1, and in here let's say text number 2. And if I save it, get back to the browser and refresh, you can see both text are inline, which means this element is inline level element. Now note that an inline element cannot contain a block level element. So what I mean is, if we get back to the text editor, and for example let's grab this number 1 inside a paragraph, which is a block level element. So let's say paragraph, and if I save it here and get back to the browser, refresh, you can see it's making our text not recognizable, or it breaks from its line. So we cannot have block level elements inside an inline element. And to show you the list of more inline elements, let's go to a screenshot, and in here you can see we have the A tag that you are already familiar with, or this abbreviation tag, and all other tags that we have in here. So again, if you don't know some of these tags, don't worry, we will cover almost everything in our next upcoming videos. So this is only for reference that we have many inline tags. Now next up, let's discuss the class attribute. So we can use the class attribute to specify a class for an HTML element, and also multiple HTML elements can share the same class name. And the class attribute is often used to point to a class name in a style sheet, and it can also be used by JavaScript to access and manipulate elements. So to show you this one, let's get back to our text editor, and what I will do is, at the top I will create a div. So let's say div, and let's close it, and inside this div let's create an h2. So h2, and for the text of the h2, let's say for example London, and let's say we want a paragraph, and let's say in here London is the capital of England. So let's say England, and let's copy this div so we can paste it a couple of times. And for the next one, let's say for example Paris, and let's say Paris is the capital of France. So let's say France. And for the third one, let's say Tokyo for example, and let's say Tokyo is the capital of Japan. And that's all. Now to declare a class for the let's say for example this div element, we can use the class attribute, and let's name this class city, and we want to declare this class for all of these divs. So let's declare it for these other divs also. Now what we can do is simply call this class with our style sheet and style them all at once. So what I mean is, if we go to our style tag at the head section, in here we can use the dot city, which refers to a class, and then curly braces, and now inside here whatever we declare for the styling, this class will inherit that styling. So let's say we want a background color, so let's say background hyphen color, and let's say tomato, and let's say we want a color for the text, which should be white, and let's also declare some border, so 2px or pixels, and let's say solid black, and let's also give it some margin, so 20px, and let's also give it some padding, so also 20px. So let's refresh, and now you can see we have all of our divs nicely styled using a class attribute. Now HTML elements can have more than one class also at the same time. So to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor, and let's declare another class for only this one div, which should be main. And if we style this main class, in here let's say dot main, and let's say curly braces, and inside here let's say text hyphen align center. And if we check out this one now, let's go to the browser, refresh, now you can see this div is only aligned to the center. So this was everything about a class attribute. Now finally we have the HTML ID attribute, which is used to specify a unique ID for an HTML element. You cannot have more than one ID for multiple elements, which means you cannot have more than one element with the same ID, so keep this in mind. So that's the main difference between a class and an ID. In class you can have the same class for multiple elements, but in ID you cannot have the same ID for multiple elements. Now ID can be used same as class to point to a specific style declaration in a style sheet, or it can be used by JavaScript to access and manipulate the element. Now to show you this one, let's get back to the text editor. So at the top of the div, in here let's create an h2, so h2, and let's close it, and inside here let's say we want my header, and let's give it an ID, so ID, and let's name it my header. And now we can use this my header ID in our style element at the head section and give it some styling. So to refer to that ID, we can use the hash sign and then the ID name and then curly braces. So inside here let's say for example background hyphen color, which should be light blue, and then let's say color should be black, and let's give it some padding also, which should be 40px, and let's say text hyphen align should be center. And if I save it now, get back to the browser, refresh, now you can see we have our nice header. Next up, we can create bookmark links also using the ID attribute. So you must remember from our previous videos that we used ID attribute to create a bookmark link. So to show you again, let's create some h1 elements. So let's get back to the text editor and let's scroll down and let's copy this h2 from here and paste it at the bottom a couple of times, and let's remove the IDs from all of them except for the last one. So in here let's give this one an ID of, let's say, bookmark ID for example, and let's say this is a bookmark link, and let's create the link at the top. So in here let's create the link, so a tag, and let's close it, and let's say go to bookmark. And what we can do is for the href, now we can use the ID. So let's say hash and let's say bookmark ID. Now if we go to the browser and if I refresh, now if I click on this link, it should bring me that header. So if I click on it, you can see it brought us to that part of the page where the header is located, which is at the very bottom. Now this being done, it's enough for today. You have learned about HTML lists, HTML inline and block, HTML classes, and finally HTML IDs. So if you find this video useful, don't forget to give the thumbs up and a nice comment also. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe too if you wanna see more videos like this. So thanks for watching and see ya in the next video.